الحمد لله إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ولي الصالحين ونشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا وعظيمنا وقدوتنا ومولانا محمدا عبد الله ورسوله الأمين صلاة وسلاما دائمين متلازمين إلى يوم الدين وبعد. فقد قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إنك لا تهدي من أحببت ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء وهو أعلم بالمهتدين. وقال الله تعالى في مقام آخر يريدون ليطفئوا نور الله بأفواههم والله متم نوره ولو كره الكافرون. صدق الله مولانا العظيم وصدق رسولنا البلاغ المبين ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Alhamdulillah, respected ulama ikram, respected fathers, mothers, honorable youth in Islam, I greet you with the greeting of Jannah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, first and foremost we thank and we praise Allah Jalla wa ala who has afforded us all, alhamdulillah, to be present here today. Bearers of Iman, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us live a life with Iman. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make that our farewell from this world will be with Iman. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala resurrect us on the day of Qiyamah with Iman. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. We also see this opportunity to make dua for all the sick and ill. We make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them all shifa'an kamila. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them all a speedy recovery, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fill their hearts with sabr. And for all the deceased, special du'as, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fill their qubur with nur. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expand their qubur to where the eye can see. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loosen their tongues at the time of questioning. May Allah make their qubur to become one of the gardens of Jannah. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillah, Jamaatul Muslimin, as we all, alhamdulillah, had a look into the life of a particular family, more in particular, one of the ladies and heroes of this ummah, the first martyr, the first wife and husband to be martyred for the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, none other than Sumayya bint Khayyab radiyallahu ta'ala anha, and her husband Yasir. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala places His choices, blessings upon them. May Allah be pleased with them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be happy with them. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them a higher abode in Jannah. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. And of course, Jamaatul Muslimin, through the sacrifice, being from the early parts of the Muslim Ummah, being of those who reverted to Islam at the very beginning of Islam, as we have demonstrated last week, that even Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not in a position to assist them and to aid and help them. And Rasulullah could but make a dua for them. You know, Sabara ya ala Yasir, fa inna maw'idakum al-Jannah. For indeed, of the family of Yasir, you know, I invoke that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala must continue filling your heart with sabr. For indeed, Allah alone knows what your abode in Jannah will be like. Indeed, only Allah knows what your abode in Jannah will be like. So today, Jamaatul Muslimin, after, you know, going through the life of these icons, these heroes of Islam, you know, I try to kind of connect it to the current heroes of Islam. And I tell you what, the wisdom of Allah, none of His creation can truly fail. The knowledge of Allah, at times, our minds is too small to fathom the greatness and the knowledge and the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For us, something comes forth to be cruel, and I'll give you two examples of it, inshaAllah ta'ala, today, which is apparent, but at times only the trained eye can see it. I said, the wisdom of Allah. Currently, what is happening? Brutality. What is happening? Uprooting. What is happening? Mass murdering. Killing of children. Killing of babies. Killing of women. Uprooting an entire place. The killing of husbands and sons. Annihilating the buildings and destroying the place. Flattening the ground. Started with a place called Gaza, now in a place called Rafah, or in the Philistine area. I'm saying the wisdom of Allah, at times our minds is too small to comprehend. And for us to have a glimpse in this, for us to have a glimpse to what is this man saying about the wisdom of Allah? You know, in the brutality, killing, bombing, mass murdering that is currently taking place, there is khayr in it. There is goodness in it. Now this, if we should go out there and tell any man on the road that there is goodness in it, or if we should try to translate this to the kafir, you know, his mind will short circuit. His fuses will burn out. The wires will touch, the positive and the negative. I tell you what, everything will blow up because it doesn't make sense. How is it possible that in the current events that is taking place, how is it possible that, you know, goodness can come from it? Of course, we need to continue rallying. We should need to continue protesting. We should continue with whatever form of, you know, whatever we can do in the sense of talking out, speaking against the genocide and the killing and the oppression that is there. We need to continue. But when I say, Jamaatul Muslimin, that the wisdom of Allah is beyond our comprehension. The wisdom of Allah is beyond our understanding. And for us to understand this, we are forced to tap into the lives of those who have suffered similar. Can we tap into our lives? Of course not. The multi-million-dollar question that myself and yourself will have to ask ourselves, what have we offered for the deen of Allah? What have we sacrificed for the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? I guess at times a simple man like myself, I would perhaps be able to say, I gave a half an hour for Jumu'ah. That is as much because, you know, barely congregations where Allah's name is made high, where Tilawatul Quran takes place, I can't even sacrifice my time for that. So guess what? The only thing that I can recall that I have sacrificed for the deen of Allah is perhaps something which Allah have ordained upon me, which is compulsory, that I have sacrificed. As far as my kids, guess what? They must get the best in this world. And that is how limited my eyesight is. That is how limited my vision is for my own. Leave alone my wife, leave alone my husband, leave alone all my, you know, ambitions and goals I have. It is just for this temporary life. That is how much I have sacrificed for the deen of Allah. Beyond that, my vision is a bit obscure. I can't see lekker clear on the other side. So we will have to tap into those who have gone through a similar condition, if not worse. And like we have demonstrated last week through the life of this particular family, we will now have to tap into the life of an Ansari, meaning a Madanite, a person from Medina. And I will fast forward, insha'Allah ta'ala. Remember, the highlight is the wisdom of Allah. I'm saying that there is khayr in the current brutality and killings that is taking place. There is goodness in it. And it takes a trained eye to see it. Bear that in mind, insha'Allah ta'ala. So now, it was an occasion, Jamaatul Muslimin, at a place called Bi'ru Raji'. It happened at a well of Raji'. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam sent a particular few men out to this particular well. And Rasulullah sallallahu namely sent them to actually trace where the enemy are. You know, because rumors came to Medina that they are actually training some of the Sahaba and they would want to attack Medina. This is not the enemy, the Quraysh. And what happened, Jama'at al-Muslimin, the Sahaba, few Sahaba found themselves on this particular hill. And which was not a mountain but a mere hill. And all of a sudden, these trained men, Quraysh, they came and they surrounded the entire hill. Cut a long story short, they were shot down like ducks. All of them were martyred, except three. Namely, Abdullah ibn Tariq. Now I know there's a few name dropping. And I know at times, Jama'at al-Muslimin, all these names at times confuses us. But insha'Allah ta'ala, for Allah's sake, if not all, try to remember one. Why am I saying this? Because they are our heroes. They were the very ones that is the sabab and the reason to why myself and yourself can today stand in the Masjid al-Salihin and say, Alhamdulillah, I am a Muslim. The very reason why myself and yourself have Iman today, the very reason why myself and yourself can send our children to study the Deen of Allah, they are the sabab for it. So we are highlighting what they had to sacrifice for us having it today. So the three men, number one, Abdullah ibn Tariq. Number two, Zayd bin Dathina, ibn Dathina. And number three, Khubayb ibn Adi radiallahu anhu. The names is a bit tongue twisting, I know. But inshallah, select one of your choice. And what the enemy did, because there are only three left, the enemy is still a whole entourage, is a big crowd, and an agreement was made from the enemy to the few three Sahaba that were still on top of the hill. The enemy said to them, the Quraysh said to them, how about you lay your weapons down? Come down in peace, none will harm you. Sounds familiar? Leave Gaza, go to the Rafah side. Go to the west side, go to the east side, none will harm you. Sounds familiar? Beware of the tongue of the kadhib, of the liar. Beware of the tongue of your enemy. Beware of the tongue of a munafiq. Why? A munafiq, the very signs of nifaq, of hypocrisy is, إِذَا حَدَّثَ كَذَبَ. Whenever he speaks, or whenever he makes a promise, he lies and he betrays the promises that he made. So the enemy said to them, lay down your weapons, man. We are not going to harm you. We promise that we are only going to take you and we are going to try to sell you somewhere else, but we are not going to harm you. The three of the Sahaba laid their weapons down. All three of them came down. A Sahabi by the name of Abdullah ibn Tariq, when they came to him, the way they actually shackled him, wanted to shackle him, and the way they grabbed him, he said, Awwalu, to the other two, Awwalu, I'm telling you, these people, just the way they grabbing me, I can see that they have deceived us. Whatever they said, it is not the truth. And by them trying to shackle him, he withdrew his sword and he met his martyrdom. He fought with him to the extent that he died. He became a martyr, a shaheed. Two left, Zayd bin Dathina and a Sahabi by the name of Khubayb ibn Adi radiallahu anhu. The two of them were taken. Now we need to understand quickly, Jama'at al-Muslimin, the Quraysh, this is now after the period of Uhud. Even amongst the people of the Quraysh, they said that the whole The whole feeling of the Quraysh have changed. The character of the people of Makkah have changed. Never before were they bloodthirsty. Now all of a sudden a new breed is coming up. They are thirsty for the blood of the Muslims. They are thirsty to take the lives of the Muslims in the most horrible and inhumane form. They got hold of these two Sahaba. Now a Sahabi like the likes of Khubayb ibn Adi radiallahu anhu and Zayd bin Dathina, both of them partook in the battle of Badr. Now we all know the battle of Uhud was a revenge of the battle of Badr. Those who were killed on Badr, of their family members came in the battle of Uhud, wanted to revenge their forefathers or their fathers or uncles. To the extent of even women of the Quraysh came to the battle of Uhud and cheered the Quraysh up. You know, we're winning today. The likes of Hind was present on the battle of Uhud. And the likes of a person by the name of Harith. A person by the name of Harith ibn Amir, who died in Badr, and he was a mushrik. And the person who killed him was none other than Khubayb ibn Adi radiallahu anhu. Remember, we're busy highlighting the wisdom of Allah that's beyond our comprehension. I said what is currently happening, there is khayr in it. So Khubayb and Zayd bin Dathina radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, both of them were taken. And now these Qurayshis is going to sell them, and knowing that they are going to get a handsome amount for them. Why? The family of Harith ibn Amir is in Makkah. So now, imagine we bring about the killer of your father or your uncles. Who's going to bid the highest will be this particular family. Why now we have the killer, we can do with him whatever we want to. And exactly this happened. They were brought to the marketplace. Both of them were sold off. And as they were being sold off, a tag of execution was placed on their backs. These people are not going to see the living son again. Who bought Khubayb ibn Adi radiallahu anhu was none other than the family of Harith ibn Amir, whose eldest son was Uqba ibn Harith. Uqba said, bring him to me. But unfortunately, the time that they bought them was in the month of the early days of Muharram. Now we all know Muharram is one of the sacred months. And in Muharram, no bloodshed can take place. No killing, no murdering, no battles can take place. So they were forced to. Now imagine, even amongst the Quraysh, there was some akhlaq and some etiquettes. Our current enemies, they took Khubayb, and Uqba said that we are going to imprison him in my sister's house. There was a dungeon there, like a cell type of thing you're holding. We will keep him down there. And we are going to wait for the month of Muharram to finish, so that we can have a publicly disgrace him, so that we can publicly take his life. Khubayb was placed in this condition, in this holding cell in the house of, her name was Zainab bint Harith. Now when I say Jamaatul Muslimin, the wisdom of Allah is beyond our comprehension. In circumstances that we see as being brutal, and we are losing lives and women and children, the wisdom of Allah is far beyond us. Khubayb was brought to this house with the only clothing he had on his back. Picture this, try to picture it. He will only eat when they tell him to eat. He will only drink that which they allow him to drink. Otherwise, he is at their mercy. Zainab, who's the reporter of this hadith? None other than this very same Zainab. The caretaker of Khubayb, radiyallahu anhu. She said, I've seen things with this prisoner that Allah has sent to us, or which my brothers have brought forth, the likes of that I never ever saw. He was placed in my home, and in that particular period and time, there was absolutely no fruit going around in Makkah. It wasn't that period or season. And there was a few karamat, there was a few gifts from Allah upon this individual, things that my eye have never ever seen. Who says this? Zainab. She says, number one is, I asked him, what is it that you'd like to eat? Seeing that you only have a month left, brother, you only have a few days left. He said to me, whatever you are going to give me, please make sure that you don't give me any meat. For indeed, I only eat that which is halal and that that was slaughtered in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This number one shocked Zainab. Since when a person that is on the verge dying is talking about halal and haram? Since when a person that is on death row is still speaking about can Allah is what halal is? We know. Halal, that time is out of the mind. That time is to save myself. My life is more important. She said to him, no worries. I won't give you any meaty products. I will only give you something else. He said to her, no problem. The following day, Jama'at al-Muslimin, as she entered upon this particular prisoner, she happened to see that which she had never ever seen before. Zainab was saying, when I entered upon him being in the cage, in the prison, in the cell, I happened to see him having grapes in his hand. I couldn't resist. I watched this man eating this grapes, and let me tell you, for Allah, she takes a qasam in the name of Allah, I have never ever seen, besides the fact that there is absolute no fruit in Makkah, I have never ever seen the size of grapes that Khubayb ibn Adi had in his hands. She said, one grape was that of the size of a man's head. And Khubayb was sitting in his cell and eating like we would sit at home and eat. And she said to herself, this can't be real. I will leave and I won't present whatever I brought forth. And she said to herself, perhaps it's only a once-off. She came the next day, the same. She came the following day, the same. The fourth day, the same. She said to herself, no, this can't continue. So asked him, O Khubayb, from where did you get this? And he looked at her with a smile and he said to her, Inna Rabbi huwa yut'imuni wa yasqi. My Allah is so Rahman. My Allah is so merciful. My Allah is the one that feeds me and He is the one that quenches my thirst. Now when I said the wisdom of Allah, we're coming to it. And you'll only see that of the pious resembles the life of the pious from before. Where did we hear of things like this? In the life of none other than Maryam alayhi salatu wassalam. When Nabi Zakaria came to her, كُلَّمَا دَخَلَ عَلَيْهَا زَكَرِيَّا الْمِحْرَابِ. Whenever Nabi Zakaria came to her and she was sitting in her mihrab in a corner of her room, he happened to see fruit out of season. And this stuff, Nabi Zakaria, what's happening here? And he asked her, أَنَّا لَكِ هَذَا? Oh Maryam, can you tell me, where did you get this fruit from? What was her answer? قَالَتْ هُوَ مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ. This fruit that you see here, this is from Allah. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَرْزُقُ مَنْ يَشَاءُ بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ. Whenever Allah sustains a people, whomsoever Allah wishes, it happens without any limitation. And this is the qadr of Allah. And this is the extent that Allah goes for Allah's beloved slaves. Guess what? Even though the whole dunya is against you, here's the reason to when we make dua for the people of Palestine. You know, they are saying food is not entering. The shut of the water. We say, may Allah quench their thirst like Allah had quenched the thirst of the Sahaba. May Allah feed them like Allah had fed all His awliya, Allah, all His friends. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them such satisfaction in their condition like how Allah had granted Sahaba in their worst of conditions. So Khubayb having the grapes, she said the following day after witnessing all of this, beyond my mind, I can't, comprehend what is currently happening. She says, the next day I just happened to, because Khubayb had requested something, that was the day, let's say the morning, the afternoon, they are going to execute him. He said, he requested to Zainab, don't you have a razor? A razor. Now anyone that requests a razor, as any a barber, then it will obviously set off a few alarms, especially from a prison, especially a person that is in captive. And she asked him, so what is the reason for the razor? He said to her that I would want to make myself presentable to be now. Meaning, the ulama says, maybe he wanted to remove the unwanted hair. Why? This afternoon I'm going to go to Allah, so I'm going to meet my Allah. How Sahaba, how their minds work. She gave him a razor. And she said to herself, I'm going to leave him, to have his me time. The last of it. And Zainab happened to have a small child, a baby, in her house. And she said, for a quick second, I lost sight of my child. And I said to myself, oh Allah, please. The words that came to her heart was, my child can be anywhere besides there at the back. Because prison is at the back. Khubayb is there, the man's in camp, the man's in chain, the man's in Allahu Akbar. And she looked through her place to find this baby calling on the name of the child. And guess what? The trail led her to the very holding of Khubayb. When she opened the door, فَفَزِعَ فَزَعَةً شَدِيدًا. She happened to see Khubayb was busy with the razor and the child sitting on his lap. Where are those that said that the Muslims are child killers? Where is that false lies of baby killers? Jamaatul Muslimin, whatever is happening today happened before. I swear by Allah, it happened before in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whatever lies and propagandas and stories they have tried to, they did it before. Babysitting. And at that very moment, Khubayb had the razor in his hand. This mother, one can only try to imagine. At that time, no deen comes from your mouth. There's no deen talks, inshallah, ta'ala, Allah. No. The life of my child is important. And I mean the mother and the child's connection, Allah alone knows. She looked at Khubayb and Khubayb looked at her with the razor in his right hand and the child sitting on his left hand. And Khubayb asked her, أَتَخْشِينَ أَنْ أَقْتُلَ? O Zainab, tell me, do you fear that I will harm your child, I will kill your child? She said to him, isn't that very obvious? You being the prisoner, having the child of the captive, having the child, you can easily ransom yourself off. You can easily ask for your freedom by keeping the child's life in your hands. He said to her, فَوَاللَّهِ بَمَا اللَّهِ إِنَّ أَصْحَابَ مُحَمَّدٍ. Indeed, the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam weren't groomed to harm each other. He places the razor down, he hands her a baby back. Zainab said, I couldn't believe my eyes. A man that had freedom in his hands, or perhaps a man that had a way out, knowing that he's on death row. A man that perhaps had a way out to escape, to have his life back, who didn't take the opportunity, who gave me my child back. She said that, فَوَاللَّهِ مَا رَأَيْتُ أَحَدًا عَسِيرًا قَطْ إِلَّا خُبَيْبَ. She said that I've never ever seen a prisoner ever in my life like this person by the name of Khubayb ibn Adi. I've never ever seen miracles the way he brought miracles to my home, and I've never ever seen a kind heart like he displayed. And now obvious, one would think that this would soften the hearts of the Quraysh. So after all, Uqba somewhere else, Uqba's sister's child, obviously he's supposed to have some form of mercy. Absolutely not. And this is the enemy. You would think that give up your arms, set the prisoners free, we won't attack. What are they saying? We won't attack. Hamas, give up. Let the prisoners, they don't want the prisoners. Their main maqsad is to annihilate all the Muslims. That have been all the time the main objective. Let's get rid of them. Let's get rid of them. And has been and will always be. And he hands over the child to him. The afternoon came. The ultimate time came. Subhanallah. Khubayb was taken by Uqba ibn Harith. Where is this? In Makkah. The very Makkah that myself and yourself visit and go for Umrah. And at times I swear in the name of Allah, totally unaware of the sacrifices, totally unaware of what truly happened. They said to themselves, Makkah is too sacred, no blood can be shed in Makkah, let's take him to a place called Tan'im. Yeah. The very miqat that myself and yourself adorn ourselves with the ihram. And how's it when we go down there? Every excited, mashallah, quick, he can run. We are saying these words, falah on it. Brother and sister, if only but we could ponder the exact same spot where Masjid Aisha is today was the exact location where Khubayb awwalu, the first to be crucified. The one of Nabi Isa that majority of these claiming that's crucifixion. Meaning fiction. It never happened. The first to be crucified for the deen of Allah was none other than Khubayb ibn Adi. But remember I said the wisdom of Allah. Please have that up there. Because so far we didn't hear of any wisdom. We didn't hear of any khair happening. Isn't it? Of course. It's brutality. It's wickedness. It's evil. Rabbah took him to the very place where myself and yourself done ourselves for the ihram. This is where Khubayb was crucified for the deen of Allah. And who narrates this? This is being narrated from a person that was present. As Khubayb was taken up to this cross, even he himself said, they made this cross with palm trees. And they brought me closer. They nailed me to this cross. Those who were in charge was none other than Uqba ibn Harith and a person by the name of Abu Sufyan ibn Harb. Now we say to Abu Sufyan, radiyallahu anhu, because later in time, at Fathu Makkah, he became a Muslim. Who's the executioners? As the two of them. Khubayb says, they were standing and taking turns on me. They called the entire village out to come and witness what is about to happen. Some of them used knives. Some of them used hot iron rods. And they would have chances just to cut my flesh off. To skin me. And then Abu Sufyan said to him, ماذا تمنى ماذا أو Khubayb, can you tell me, what do you desire? Your last wishes, man. Come on, we'll give it to you, we'll grant it to you. And what? Whilst blood was oozing from his body. Try. Let's try to imagine this. While being nailed to a cross, he said to them, أريد أن أصلي ركعتين. My only desire is to perform 2 rakats for the sake of Allah. أول من سن ركعتين الخبيب بن عدي. The first to perform 2 rakat salah before being executed was none other than Khubayb ibn Adi. Imagine nails being removed, taken down, whilst blood is oozing. The man is performing 2 rakat salah. Now offering his salah. And those who were witnessing this, they said that he made the salah extremely very fast. And Abu Sufyan asked him, why is it that you hastened with your salah in this way? Why did you pray so fast? Sahaba, it reminds me of the statement when Rasulullah was told of Ammar bin Yasir. When Rasul was told that Ammar has turned murtad. Remember we said last week that they punished him to such an extent, being a young boy, the youngster. Imagine earlier than 15 years old, he was about roughly 12, 13 years old. Witnessing how his parents is being being buried to their legs, him as well, being punished. And on his way, going into a state of unconsciousness, he mentioned something. And this was taken to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And, the Sahaba said to Rasulullah that Ammar sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he became a murtad. Nabi Muhammad said to him, can you just repeat that? Can you say what you just said? He said, no, Ammar, قد كفر, he had turned murtad. Nabi Muhammad says, فَوَاللَّهِ, I said, وَالَّذِي نَفْسُ مُحَمَّدٌ بِيَدِهِ, as for that being that has the life of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in his hands, إِنَّ عَمَّارَ مُلِئَ إِيمَانٍ. Oh my Sahabi, like you have blood pumping through your veins, Ammar, the very one that you are saying have turned murtad, Ammar had Iman pumping through his veins. Never mind Ammar. The level of ecstasy and love for the deen of Allah, sacrifice that they were willing to make for the deen of Allah, beyond our understanding. He performed these 2 rakat salah, and as he was done with it, and Abu Sufyan asked him, he said to Abu Sufyan, guess what? Imagine whilst being, blood is coming, no bandage, no help, no assistance, no medics around. He says to him, oh Abu Sufyan, it is but because I didn't want you to think that the reason to why I'm making long salah is because I'm afraid of dying. The reason why I made the salah so very quick, because I'm in a hurry and I'm excited to meet my Allah. And I didn't want you to think that I'm scared to die and meet my Allah. Up to the cross again. Nailing back to the cross. As Khubayb ibn Adi is on the cross, with his head into the sama. You know when Allah blesses a person or a people, you see all those babies and people in Philistine, I swear by Allah, what we see and what Allah makes them to see as 2 different things. So Khubayb ibn Adi radiallahu anhu, he gazes into the sama and he says, Allahumma, O Allah, laysa ahadan, there is none present here, O Allah, that will convey my salams to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. O Allah, Allahumma balligh anni as-salam. Oh Allah, I ask you to convey my salams to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This man is on the cross. This man is busy dying. Limbs has been cut off. Arms has been given. Legs has been given. Blood is oozing from his body. He is busy making salawat and salams upon Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Second, now turning his attention to what is currently happening, he says, لَقَدْ جَمَّعَ الْأَحْزَابُ قَوْلِي وَأَلَّبَوْا قَبَائِلَهُمْ فَقَدْ جَمَّعُوا أَبْنَاءَهُمْ وَنِسَاءَهُمْ وَقُرِّبْتُ مِنْ جِذْعٍ طَوِيلٍ مُمَنَّعٍ إِلَى اللَّهِ أَشْكُو كُرْبَتِي ثُمَّ غُرْبَتِي. He says, Oh Allah, I can't complain to none except to you, Oh Allah. Oh Allah, they have gathered here all the women and children. It's a beautiful feast for them, Oh Allah. Oh Allah, I'm crying out to you, Oh Allah. They are going to kill me now in a few seconds. But Oh Allah, let this not go in vain, Oh Allah. second dua that he made, Allahumma hsihim adada. Oh Allah, count them as they are standing here. Ittaqu da'wat al-madloom. Our Rasul teaches us, beware of the dua of an oppressed person. فَإِنَّ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ دَعْوَتِهِ لَا حِجَابٍ. For indeed between him and between Allah there is absolute no barriers. Fear the dua of an oppressed person. In any what way, brothers? You oppress your worker working for you. You wanting to show him that you are in authority. Fear the words that he will utter after that. Fear the statements that that man or sister is going to make. For indeed Allah takes that before Allah takes the dua of the person sitting on his musalla. He says, oh Allah, count them as they are standing here. وَقْتُلْهُمْ بِدَدًا. Another riwayat, وَقْتُلْهُمْ بَدَدًا. And now Allah kill every single one of them. وَلَا تُغَادِرْ مِنْهُمْ أَحَدًا. And Allah, do not leave anyone alive of him. He's making dua. As he is making this dua, it was a pagan belief. You know those spook stories at times that are still floating around us today. The Arabs used to believe when anyone is cursing you, you need to lay flat on your back so that the curse, don't touch you. When he said this, who was present in the crowd? Muawiyah ibn Sufyan. Muawiyah, the son of Abu Sufyan. He was about roughly 10 years old. Muawiyah, immediately watching his father falling to the ground, he also fell to the ground. He said, radiallahu anhu, because Muawiyah became the katib, the scribe of wahi. But he fell to the ground, and Abu Sufyan fell to the ground. And as all of this happened, Abu Sufyan came to Khubayb, and he said to him, Khubayb, look at your condition now, man. See what you're putting yourself through. If we could change and reverse this, and put Muhammad, we say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in your position, and you in his, where is he sitting at home? He's enjoying the comfort of his family and his friends. And you are here nailed to the cross. If we could give you that, would you substitute him with yourself? Khubayb looked at him and he said, for Allah, I swear by Allah, even if it was for a prick of a thorn, I would never ever substitute my condition with the condition of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Even if it is for a mere prick of a thorn. Abu Sufyan said to Uqba, فَوَاللَّهِ مَا رَأَيْتُ أَحَدًا يُحِبُّ أَحَدًا كَحُبِّ أَصْحَابِ مُحَمَّدٍ. He says, I swear by Allah, hands down, as the Juwara currently, IDF, PDF, whatever you want to call them, Khabib of this dunya, the filth of this world, every single day they see how they can't win the battle. Making up stories, showing us propaganda on the news, how they're winning. I swear by Allah, let us not be confused. Abu Sufyan stood in front of almost the corpse of Khubayb and he said, I have never ever seen a people loving anyone like how the companions of Muhammad loved Muhammad. They are willing to give their limbs for this man. They are ready to die for this man. Pause. They struck him with the last blow to his chest and he happened to pass away. But the exact time when this happened, In another place, about 20 to 70 Huffaz was also killed. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam sitting way in Medina with the Sahaba. And exactly at the same time Rasul conveyed to them, said to them that Sahaba was just killed. Remember, no Bluetooth. Remember, no cell phone. Remember, no email. And immediately opposed the likes of Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu anhu says, and for a split second I'm sitting right in front of Rasulullah. I see this big pause. And as to when Wahy used to come down, when Quran used to come down, that pause, whatever Rasul was busy with, when Quran used to descend upon him, complete dead soul. His body would come to a complete still stand, you know. He said, Ubay ibn Ka'b said, I saw this, and for a few seconds Nabi Muhammad was looking this way and he said, وَعَلَيْكَ السَّلَامِ يَا خُبَيْبٍ. Conveying the salams that Khubayb asked Allah to give to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Jibreel came and he conveyed that salams to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Khubayb was killed with a big crowd in front of him. Our time is up. I had to come to the part of the wisdom of Allah. That wisdom of Allah is currently continuing. I see for the trained eye, for the eye that's not, obscured, for the eye whose vision is straight with seeing Allah in front of him, that eye will see it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us tawfiq and hidayah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala safeguard us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us live with Iman. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us to be of those people who insha'Allah ta'ala come in their last moments in their life would leave this world with Iman. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب واستغفروا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. We will continue insha'Allah ta'ala next week with the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also insha'Allah ta'ala, because there's something attached to this. The crowd that was in front of Khubayb, the people that stood there, the people that observed Khubayb being skinned, Khubayb being crucified, radiallahu anhu. There's something about this crowd, there's something about the crowd of today, that the wisdom of Allah is beyond our imaginations. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us tawfiq and hidayah. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdihi, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. تعالى وبركاته. وعليكم السلام. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الحمد لله لا ند له ولا ضد له ولا مثل له ولا مثال له ولا مثيل له، ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، ونشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا وعظيمنا وقدوتنا ومولانا محمدا عبد الله ورسوله الأمين، صلاة وسلاما دائمين متلازمين إلى يوم الدين. وبعد، فقد قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: يريدون ليطفئوا نور الله بأفواههم والله متم نوره ولو كره الكافرون. صدق الله مولانا العظيم. وقال حبيب المصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم: كل أمتي يدخلون الجنة إلا من أبى. قيل: ومن يأبى يا رسول الله؟ من أطاعني دخل الجنة ومن عصاني فقد أبى. بارك الله لنا ولكم في القرآن العظيم، ونفعنا بالآيات والذكر الحكيم، إنه تعالى جواد كريم ملك بر رؤوف. الحمد لله. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونثني عليك الخير كله، ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، ونشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا وعظيمنا وقدوتنا ومولانا محمدا عبد الله ورسوله الأمين، صلاة وسلاما دائمين متلازمين إلى يوم الدين. وبعد، فقد قال الله تعالى في شأن حبيبه: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على عبدك ورسولك، وصل على المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات، وبارك على محمد وأزواجه وذريته. فقد قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: أرحم أمتي بأمتي أبو بكر رضي الله تعالى عنه، وأشدهم في أمر الله عمر رضي الله تعالى عنه، وأصدقهم حياء عثمان رضي الله تعالى عنه، وأقضاهم علي رضي الله تعالى عنه، وعن كل الصحابة والتابعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين، وأنا معهم بعفوك وكرمك يا أكرم الأكرمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين، وأذل الشرك والمشركين، ودمر اليهود أعداءك أعداء الدين. اللهم احصهم عددا واقتلهم بددا ولا تغادر منهم أحدا. عباد الله رحمكم الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى، وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي، يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله العلي العظيم يذكركم، ودعوه يستجب لكم، ولذكر الله أكبر، والله يعلم ما تصنعون.